Vlad Stroud is reading books in the Glimmerbrook Library when he uncovers an ancient book titled Bloodlines, The Truth of the Night. The book contains detailed records of vampiric genealogy. Vlad carefully turns the brittle pages of the ancient tome, his fingers brushing over faded ink. The title, Bloodlines, The Truth of the Night, echoed in his thoughts, as though daring him to doubt it. He smirked, a cynical quirk of his lips forming.
Bloodlines, indeed. Yet another romanticized attempt to uncover secrets better left buried.
Still, something about the elegant script felt familiar. His eyes scanned the text, catching names like Lilith, Appius, and his own. He froze, sharp nails grazing the parchment. Vladislaus Stroud. He repeated the words aloud, his deep voice reverberating in the empty library. The smirk faded, replaced by a scowl.
The audacity, linking me to Dracula himself, the most insufferable of legends. How convenient.
He continued reading, reluctantly drawn in. The section detailing Lilith's creation caught his eye. His mind conjured flashes, images not from his own memory but eerily vivid, as though the book whispered truths into his thoughts. Born from a cursed ritual, a willing sacrifice turned unwilling predator. He leaned back in his chair, the stiff leather groaning beneath him. A shadow fell across his face as he frowned.
Lilith, the so-called original vampire. A tale as old as time itself. And yet, could there be a kernel of truth? Does Caleb and Lilili Vatore know? If there is truth in this drivel, they will be ignorant of it. Still, ignorance often masks hidden knowledge.
An enchantment. This book is more than it appears. Perhaps even more than I am prepared to uncover. I shall take this book home.
What move secrets does this book hold? Can this source be trusted? Let the truth come to light. If it destroys me, so be it. But I will not be made a fool by my own bloodline. I must travel to the source. What was my last human memory? Where was I? The question gnaws at me like the hunger that never leaves. My memories are fragments, scattered and jagged, like shards of broken glass reflecting a life I can barely recognize. The Carpathian Mountains. Yes, I was there. The year was 1476. The crisp air biting at my skin, the smell of pine and earth grounding me in the wild. I remember the hunt, a ritual as old as my bloodline. A wolf had been stalking the edge of the forest for days, and it had become my prey. I can still feel the weight of the rifle in my hands, the cold steel steady against my shoulder. Its growl echoed through the trees, a low, menacing rumble that sent a chill down my spine. I raised my gun. My heartbeat was slow, deliberate, as my finger brushed the trigger. And then, I was alone. I had thirst for blood, made vampire. I will leave today.
Hidden by a lush forest and perched on top of a cliff at an altitude of 850 meters, you will find Poenary Castle, the residence of Vlad the Impaler, also known as Vlad Dracula or Vlad III, a ruling prince of Wallachia, Romania's region south of the Romanian Carpathian Mountains, in the 15th century. For this reason, Poenary Citadel is also called sometimes the real Dracula's Castle and included in the real Dracula tour because, as opposed to Bran Castle, it actually has a real connection with a historical figure that inspired the fictional Count Dracula in the Bram Stoker novel. The first phase of the construction dates back to the beginning of the 13th century by the Wallachians. Negru Voda, the ruling medieval prince of those times, is said to have built the first tower, giving Poenary Castle its 14th century structure. The defensive fortress has an elongated form, and architecture buffs can admire the 13th century mortar work used to attach the stone and brick construction directly to the cliff. In the 15th century, Vlad Dracula added the 4 other towers of Poenary Castle, turning it into one of the main fortresses in the Carpathian Mountains. It soon became known as one of the impenetrable, major strongholds against the numerous attacks of the Ottoman Empire. The chronicles of that time note that Poenary Castle was one of the main places of residence of the Wallachian ruler, making it a real part of Vlad Dracula's actual life, unlike the many touristy made-up stories and legends you will find about him. A first look into Vlad's fight against the Ottoman taking the lands he inherited from his father, Vlad Dracula, or Vlad II, reveals some common practices in this part of the world in the 15th century. When Vlad II sought the support of the Ottomans to secure his lands against his Hungarian neighbors, he agreed to send his 2 legitimate sons to serve as hostages and be a sign of his loyalty. Vlad the Impaler brought Poenary Castle back to life when he became ruler of Wallachia in the 15th century. However, it is said that the local boyars were not willing to recognize him as a ruler and were plotting against him in an act of high treason. And it is this opposition that led to Vlad doing something that earned him his reputation. As the legend tells, he attacked the boyars on the first day of Easter as they were celebrating. He impaled the old ones and started to display them on spikes. Frightened, the other boyars swore obedience to him. He then ordered all the people to begin the reinforcement of the fortress with their own hands. A portion of the fortress had been affected by a great earthquake in 1466 and needed mending. Many of them ended up dying of exhaustion from working in very harsh conditions. He lived in very treacherous times, and much of Romania's medieval history was under the threat of Ottoman occupation. Even Vlad's death is surrounded by mystery, as it is thought that he was ambushed in battle or assassinated, and that his body was chopped to pieces so that the head could be sent to Sultan Mehmet. The Stroud family briefly owned the castle from 1477 to 1485.
The hour grows late, and the weight of centuries presses heavy on my soul. Tonight, I have done what I never thought I would. I passed the dark gift to another. He is called Stroud, a man of sharp wit and unwavering ambition, yet there is something in him, an emptiness I sought to fill, a fire I sought to stoke. Foolish, perhaps, but what is immortality if not a series of gambles played with eternity? He came to me seeking power, but I saw in him more than a mere hunger. He has the makings of something greater, or so I believed. Was I wrong? Time shall judge me, though I fear I will not live to see that judgment rendered. I stalked him in the woods, in my wolf form. Hunted him down and made him vampire. Stroud's transformation was not without peril, for the shadows of my enemies creep closer even now. Their torches flicker in the distance, and their cries for vengeance growing louder with every passing moment. There is no time to teach him the intricacies of what he has become. He knows nothing of the thirst that will consume him, the sunlight that will scorch him, or the secrets he must guard with his unbeating heart. I have given him a gift and a curse, and for that I pray he forgives me. I have left clues, writings scattered among my possessions, guides to what he must know. Yet without my hand to guide him, will he discover them in time? Or will he succumb to the chaos that awaits the untrained fledgling? My enemies will have my head tonight, I can feel it. The weight of their hatred is a storm on the horizon, and I am but a lone figure standing against its fury. Let them come, I am not afraid. But as I go to meet my doom, I cannot help but wonder, have I doomed Stroud as well? I planted a memory so he believed his name was Vladislaus. Not Adrian. His birth name. Stroud, if you read this, know that I chose you because I believed in your potential. Do not let my death be the end of our legacy. Find the strength within yourself to master the darkness. Be cunning, be ruthless, but do not forget the humanity you once had. It is a tether, fragile yet vital, to what makes us more than monsters. And if vengeance guides your path, then let it. Let my blood in your veins burn with the memory of my death and the fire of 1,000 moons. May the night guard you well, my progeny. Vlad Dracula, Prince of the Night.
Ah.